If someone called the police to report that you had raped them, but claimed it happened in a dream, would you dismiss it as the ramblings of a lunatic? My name is Lucas Miller, and just a moment ago, my coworker Olivia Vance stormed into our office with the police in tow, pointing her finger right at me and accusing me of assault. When the officers asked for evidence, she actually claimed that it happened in her sleep last night and that I had been doing it for several nights in a row. Everyone in the office stared at me as if I were total scum. I initially thought it was just a sick joke, and the police seemed to think she was losing her mind as well. That was until I laid down that night and closed my eyes, only to find Olivia standing right in the middle of my dream, wearing a white sundress. What was even more terrifying was that I couldn't control my own actions toward her. It turned out that our dreams were somehow linked. My coworker had just called the cops claiming I assaulted her, and when the officers asked for a location, she told them it happened in a dream. The crazy thing was that she was right, because I actually had done it in a dream. Somehow, our subconscious minds were connected. "Officer, Lucas Miller raped me," she said, her voice trembling but resolute. "You have to take him into custody." My colleague, Olivia Vance, had led 2 San Francisco police officers into our open floor plan office, pointing a shaking finger directly in my chest. "What the hell, Lucas? Tell me you didn't do it," someone from the next cubicle whispered. "You actually attacked Olivia? I can't believe this." "I always knew he was a creep, a total wolf in sheep's clothing," they added, as the accusation ripped through the office like a bomb. Every eye in the room was fixed on me, dripping with pure contempt. I stammered, "What? When did I ever even touch you?" I stood up so quickly my chair screeched against the floor and said, "Olivia, if you're going to involve the police, you're going to need actual evidence. We're just co-workers, and I don't think I've ever even been within 5 feet of you. So you can't just go around destroying someone's life like this." My mind was racing. Was she completely insane? Did she really think accusing me of assault was the way to go? Was her end goal to just see me ruined? In today's social climate, ruining a man is frighteningly easy. All it takes is one viral Twitter thread or a single post about how a woman would never lie about her own trauma. A man's career and his entire reputation can be torched in an instant, even though I hadn't done a single thing to offend her. We were just colleagues at a major tech firm who barely exchanged a word, so I couldn't fathom what she hoped to gain from this. "You're a person of interest in a sexual assault allegation, so you're coming with us," one of the officers said, pulling out a pair of handcuffs as he moved toward me. Olivia glared at me, her eyes smoldering with a venomous hatred. "Don't you remember?" she spat. "Last night, and the night before," she continued, biting her lip until her knuckles turned white from clenching her fists. "Jesus, Lucas is a total monster. He's been doing this to her for nights on end." The shock in the office reached a fever pitch, and even I was stunned. For nights on end? I was more confused than anyone else in the room. For the past few days, my life had been nothing but a blur of coding, debugging, and a grueling commute back home. I was in the middle of a brutal crunch period and working myself to the bone. I barely had the energy to feed myself, let alone assault another person. "Officer, I think there's been a huge mistake here," my project lead and roommate, Alex Carter, said as he stepped forward. "Lucas has been pulling all-nighters with the rest of the team lately, and we always leave together, usually well after midnight. We've been burning the midnight oil for a week straight to meet this deadline, so we just go home, pass out, and wake up to do it all over again." Alex is right. Lucas has been absolutely swamped. Someone else chimed in. "Who knows? Maybe he did it after work like a real predator," a woman from another department muttered, her voice dripping with poison. She had already convicted me in her mind. Meanwhile, the other officer frowned and asked Olivia, "Ma'am, can you give us a specific time and place?" "He did it in my dream," Olivia said, her voice dropping but still filled with conviction. "But it felt so real. It was like..." She stared at me, her face a mask of rage and the trauma of being violated. "What? In a dream?" I repeated, dumbfounded. Alex and the others just stood there with their jaws hanging open. The situation had veered from horrifying to utterly absurd. The first officer slowly put his handcuffs away and looked at me with a flicker of sympathy. "Ma'am, Filing a false police report is a very serious offense, he said gently. And this is starting to sound a lot like slander. I'm not slandering him. It was real. I could feel every single thing he did to me, she yelled, her furious gaze locking onto mine. The officers exchanged a look of weary resignation, shook their heads, and turned to leave the office. Wait, where are you going? Olivia cried out, her voice cracking with desperation. I'm not lying. Let it go. Olivia, it was just a bad dream, a coworker said while patting her on the back to calm her down. Yeah, maybe you're just stressed out. You should probably try some melatonin or something. I just watched her. Olivia was in her mid-20s, attractive and single, and she had been with the company for less than 2 years in a completely different department. Look, even if you think you're some kind of social justice warrior, you can't just go around accusing innocent people of things like this. My voice remained steady as I said, I'm letting it go this time, but if you ever slander me like this again, you'll be hearing from my lawyer. You rapist! I hate you! She screamed, her eyes still blazing with fury. Lucas, just get back to your desk, Alex said, placing a hand on my shoulder. I'll make sure HR has a word with her. Our team was one of the top performers in the firm, and I was a senior developer with a solid track record. In a situation like this, management would almost certainly take my side. Olivia was becoming an unstable element, and they would likely let her go. Yeah, I'm fine, I said with a nod as I turned back to my work. The project deadline was still looming, and I didn't have time for this drama. Because of the incident, I was told to take the rest of the day off, which meant no overtime for me tonight. Dude, you're a legend, the dream rapist, one of my friends texted in our iMessage group chat. LOL, seriously, man, what are the odds of actually getting accused of psychic assault? First it was guys getting canceled for looking at someone wrong on the subway, and now we have dream crimes. The future is wild. Tell me about it. Just my luck. I typed back, whatever, I'm exhausted after not sleeping well for a week, so I'm crashing hard tonight. I grabbed some takeout, took a shower, and was dead to the world by 10. Sometime later, I slipped into a dream where the scenery materialized around me and a figure was standing there. This had been happening for a few nights now, and the moment I fell asleep, I would see her. The woman was, of course, Olivia Vance. I didn't know why, but in my dreams she was unbelievably vivid. Her hair wasn't in a ponytail, and she wore a simple white sundress. She stood before me with a sweet, gentle smile, and seeing her gave me a strange, irresistible pull. I walked toward her, and she said, You came, her voice full of warmth and anticipation. I'm here, I replied, taking her hand as if it were the most natural thing in the world. There was a small clearing in the forest ahead of us, and without a second thought, we walked into the trees together. Once we were inside the grove, an urgent need washed over me, and soon we were lost in each other. Yes, I was dreaming, and in my dream I was making love to Olivia Vance, but the dream wasn't something I could control. I found it bizarre myself. Why her? We barely knew each other, and while she was attractive, she wasn't really my type. If I was going to have an erotic dream, shouldn't it be with my ideal woman? Why was it Olivia? The version of me in the dream wasn't asking these questions, as I was completely absorbed in the pleasure of the moment, until a shrill ring from my phone ripped me back to reality. I blinked, disoriented, and fumbled for my phone to see that the caller ID read Olivia Vance. Lucas, please just leave me alone, she sobbed into the phone. I'm begging you. Her desperate plea echoed the scene I had just been torn from. A flicker of heat went through me, followed by a wave of cold shock. Could it be possible that our dreams were actually synced? If that were true, it was absolutely incredible. What are you talking about? I asked, feigning ignorance. You damn well know what I'm talking about, she shot back, her voice thick with tears and fury. I'm talking about what you just did to me. You bastard, you monster, you rapist. I already told you to stop accusing me of things, I said, my tone turning icy. I know it has become a sport for some people to throw around accusations with zero consequences, but if you keep this up, I swear I'll take you to court for defamation. The current social climate was a total minefield. I'm coming over right now, Olivia said suddenly. No, you are not, I said flatly. Accusing me with no evidence was one thing, But if she came here and set me up, I would be finished. There was no way I was letting her anywhere near me after that high-profile case where the guy was convicted despite the holes in the story. I had learned to keep my distance from anyone who seemed even remotely unstable. My rejection seemed to push her over the edge, and she sounded like she was completely falling apart. If you don't see me, I'll hang myself on your front door. I'm already at my breaking point because of you, and if this keeps happening, I'm actually going to die. Look, what do you want from me? I sighed, rubbing my temples. Fine, let's meet somewhere. I gave her the address of a desolate, poorly lit scenic overlook a few miles out of town where there were no cameras or people. If she wasn't serious, she wouldn't dare go to a place like that. Okay, I'm on my way, she agreed without a moment's hesitation. Her instant agreement surprised me, but I couldn't back out now, so I threw on some clothes and drove to the overlook. A few minutes later, she pulled up. The light was terrible, so I used my phone's flashlight to see her face. She looked haggard, her expression a mix of exhaustion and raw desperation. Lucas, will you please just let me go? She begged. I would if I could, but I have no idea what's going on either, I said, feeling a surge of helplessness. This whole thing is insane. I glanced at the electric scooter she'd parked nearby and said, I didn't think you'd actually come. This place isn't safe. There's nothing left to be afraid of at this point, she said, her voice flat. Honestly, if you could guarantee me one night of peaceful sleep, I would sleep with you for real. She said it so bluntly, her eyes boring into mine. Get in the car, I said, my resolve softening at the sight of her pathetic state. Let's talk this through properly. She nodded and got into the passenger seat. I know you want to do it here in the car, she said as soon as the door closed, and she started taking off her jacket. This would be my first time doing something like this, but if it makes you stop, you can do whatever you want. She was actually quite beautiful, with a surprisingly nice figure that was revealed as she shed her outer layer. Stop, I said, holding up a hand. I don't want to do that, so let's just talk like adults. Our goal here is to solve the problem, not create new ones. Then how do we solve it? She asked, looking at me intently. The way you're talking proves you're a part of this, doesn't it? No, I said quickly, shaking my head. I felt like she was trying to lead me into a confession, and for all I knew, she had a recorder running. All it would take was one misspoken word or one edited clip for some activist lawyer to have a field day, and I'd be finished. I don't know what's going on, which is why I wanted to ask you what is happening on your end. Tell me exactly what you experience in your dreams, I said, taking control of the conversation. A dream? No, it's more than a dream. The feeling is too real, more real than you and I sitting here right now. Her story began to tumble out. You ripped my clothes off and you forced yourself on me, and I was so scared. She recounted her experience, her face pale with fear, but as I listened, I frowned. I was in the dream too, and while we definitely had sex, it wasn't violent. It was harmonious, even tender. She had been an active participant, and while the sensations felt real, I could still distinguish it as a dream. But in her version, I was a violent aggressor. This discrepancy made me wonder if her experience was genuinely different, if she was lying, or if she was at the very least exaggerating. This is too strange, I finally said. If you're open to it, I know someone we could see tomorrow. He's a kind of spiritual guide who is an expert at interpreting things like this, specifically dream analysis. I wasn't usually one for New Age stuff, but this was so far beyond normal that I was willing to try anything. I happen to know an intuitive guide in Palo Alto who was supposedly the real deal. Okay, fine, Olivia said. Her gaze grew intense, almost feverish, as she suggested. Maybe if we do it for real, just once, it'll break the spell or something. If you really want to, I said slowly, my mind racing through potential legal traps. I'll need a written and signed consent form stating clearly that consent cannot be revoked after the fact. And we also have to film a video. Her expression soured as she asked, What do you think I am? Are you serious? I have to be. I shot back. Already called the cops on me once, and I'm terrified of ending up in prison. As much as the idea of making the dream a reality appealed to me, the thought of a jail cell was a powerful deterrent. Fine, she said, biting her lip, her mind made up. I'll do it. Let's just go to your place. You have a pen and paper, right? I was stunned that she actually agreed. We went back to my apartment, and I handed her a pen and a notepad. She quickly wrote out a declaration confirming that her consent was freely given. Then she pressed her thumbprint below the signature, bit her lip, and leaned against me while I filmed a short video on my phone. In the video, she looked directly at the camera and confirmed that our encounter was completely consensual. After all that was done, she looked up at me with pleading eyes and said, "There, can we now?" She was clearly impatient. "Okay," I said, no longer refusing, and I led her into the bedroom. "It's happened so many times in my dreams that I don't even care anymore," she whispered. Afterward, we both fell into a deep, dreamless sleep. The next morning, I woke to her stirring beside me. Olivia's face was glowing and the dark circles under her eyes were completely gone. It was obvious she'd had the best night's sleep in weeks. "You're amazing," she said with a smile. "We should be together." "Isn't this a little fast?" I asked, taken aback by how direct she was. "What's wrong with it?" "You're single, and I'm single," she said simply. I thought about it for a moment and said, "Okay, we could be together." We decided to become a couple, and when we walked into the office together that morning hand in hand, everyone's jaws dropped. "What is going on with you two?" a coworker asked, their eyes wide with disbelief. Just a few days ago, Olivia had been hysterically accusing me of assault, and the story had even made the rounds on a few local gossip forums. "Lucas and I are together now," she announced to the onlookers. Everything before was just a misunderstanding, and after thinking about it, I realized I actually kind of like him, so we decided to make the dream a reality. A faint blush colored her cheeks as she said it. "Whoa, seriously? You guys are that fast?" someone asked. "Yeah, that's right," I confirmed, squeezing her hand. But as I held her hand, I felt a flicker of subconscious resistance. The shared dreams stopped completely. She slept soundly every night, no longer plagued by unwanted nocturnal visits. As our relationship deepened, my guard started to come down, but things were never that simple. One day, Olivia didn't come to work, telling me she was hanging out with her girlfriends. For what I knew of her, she didn't really have any close friends. I had given her an Apple Watch a while back, and using the location tracking feature, I saw where she'd been. It was a wellness studio in Palo Alto run by the same intuitive guide I had mentioned. So Olivia had gone to see him behind my back. I texted my team that I was taking a half day to go fishing. I drove straight to the studio and found the guide, a middle-aged man named Master Sullivan. "Did you do a reading for her?" I asked, showing him a picture of Olivia on my phone. "I did," Master Sullivan said, looking at me curiously. "What about it?" She said her dreams were somehow linked with someone else's, and she wanted to know if the connection could be broken. I took a look and told her it's possible to sever it, but it's complicated, so I haven't done anything yet. He paused, studying my face before asking, "Is this dream connected to you?" "She's my girlfriend." I nodded. "We got together because of the dreams." "The dream wasn't your doing, was it?" Looking at her energy. "The reason it's so difficult to undo is because the link was created intentionally by someone else. And the method was very sophisticated," Master Sullivan said, being candid with me. I stood there in silence. The idea that someone had intentionally manipulated my dreams was hard to wrap my head around. It was an insane concept, but for what purpose? What could anyone possibly gain from this? "How do you undo it?" I asked honestly. "If you two are together and happy, there's no need to," he explained. "This type of dream connection, which I call a desire bond, is meant to create an irresistible link between two people to make it easier for them to get together. But I get the sense that she is not fully aligned with you, and I believe her intention was to sever her side of the dream and then find a way to punish you." "I knew it," I muttered, nodding slowly. From the moment she called the police, I knew Olivia was not someone to be trifled with. When I saw Olivia later that evening, I walked over and wrapped my arms around her. "I was thinking about something," I said softly. "Should we get married?" She looked up, her face twisting in disgust as she pushed me away and said, "I have no intention of getting married right now. In fact, if you're thinking about marriage, maybe we should just break up," she added, her tone final. Why? I asked, feigning confusion. We're good together. Isn't marriage the next logical step? Because you're a fraud. You use some kind of black magic to trick me into sleeping with you, she accused, pointing a finger at me. You and that psychic guru are friends, aren't you? You had him implant those dreams in my head so you could torture me and wear me down. I know everything, Lucas. You are a disgusting, terrifying person. Are you serious? I asked. Why would I ever do something like that? To think she believed I'd orchestrate such a bizarre, elaborate scheme just to get her into bed was insane. Don't play dumb. I've already collected the evidence, so just you wait, she snarled before turning and storming out. I looked around the apartment and realized all of her things were gone. This had clearly been premeditated. A short while later, the police were at my door again. You've had another complaint filed against you, the officer said, looking deeply uncomfortable. The complainant alleges that you used esoteric and manipulative means to coerce her into a sexual relationship, so you're going to have to come with us. The officer clearly thought the whole thing was ridiculous, but he had a job to do. They took me down to the station, and there was Olivia presenting her evidence to the detectives. The evidence included a secretly recorded snippet of my conversation with Master Sullivan and a consent agreement we had signed. To silence me, he even forced me to sign this contract before he would sleep with me, she declared with righteous indignation. And that psychic admitted the dream was planted by someone, and Lucas is the only one who benefited. Soon, Olivia took her story to Facebook and Twitter, claiming, "This guy's a master manipulator." A firestorm erupted online, and I was being condemned by thousands of strangers. This time, even people at work who knew me started to look at me with suspicion. I felt like I was caught in a trap with no way out. There's no actual evidence here, the detective told me later. The police, at least, were on my side, as they operated on proof rather than public opinion. Amid the flood of online hate, I went back to see Master Sullivan. I'm public enemy number one now, I said, looking him in the eye. I need to know who did this. Wasn't you, is it? He shook his head and said, "Of course not. I would never do something like that. However, I think I know who did, and you'll find out soon enough," he said cryptically. "For now, let me help you with the dream issue." He reached over, took my phone, and peeled a small sticker off the back. I stared at the sticker, completely baffled. "What are you doing?" I asked, and he smiled, saying, "The dream connection between you and her is resolved." "It's that simple?" I asked, incredulous, but he just chuckled and offered no further explanation. As I looked at the sticker, a memory surfaced. My supervisor, Sarah Thompson, had given it to me a little over a month ago. She said it was cute and that she had a matching one. At the time, I thought maybe she was flirting with me. Thinking back, it was only a few days after I got the sticker that the dreams about Olivia had started. I took the sticker and drove to Stanford, where I had a friend who worked in one of the research labs. "Can you run a diagnostic on this?" I asked, handing him the sticker. He took one look and said, "This isn't just a sticker, it's a microcircuit. I heard you were caught up in some crazy business, something about sharing dreams, right?" he asked, and I admitted it was me. "If this is what I suspect, I might be able to help you out," he said, disappearing into the lab. Meanwhile, the online campaign against me reached a fever pitch. Hashtags like Dream Predator and coercion is a crime were trending. Strangers started doxing me and harassing me both online and off. A few days later, my friend from the lab sent me the results. The report confirmed the sticker contained a specialized micro-emitter capable of influencing neural pathways. In short, it could influence thoughts and dreams. His text was blunt: "Call the cops now." I took the lab report straight to the police station, and a few days later, the online storm vanished and Olivia was. But it wasn't just her. My supervisor, Sarah Thompson, and several other people were arrested along with her. They're part of a radical online collective, the detective explained, and they were exploiting the current gender tensions to manufacture incidents like these. This dream rape scenario was designed to rally women and attack men, and you were their target. It was because of some comments you made on the company Slack channel a while back complaining about professional victims. Sarah Thompson is a key figure in this group, and she considered your views a threat to their ideology. So she used that device to link your dream state with Olivia's and coached Olivia on how to use it to destroy it. It can actually work like that? I asked. My jaw agape. The whole thing felt like a plot from a TV show. Thankfully, it was over, and I hadn't been dragged into this. Even now, the memory of Olivia's venomous glare as she was led away sends a chill down my spine. The story, at least for me, was finally over. This story chronicles a bizarre and chilling technological conspiracy involving Lucas Miller, a developer who is publicly accused by co-worker Olivia Vance of dream rape. What initially seems like the ramblings of a lunatic turns into a surreal nightmare as Lucas discovers their subconscious minds are indeed synchronized. Trapped in a social and legal minefield, Lucas is manipulated into a real-world relationship with Olivia, only for her to weaponize social media and brand him a psychic predator in a calculated attempt to ruin his life. The truth is finally unveiled when Lucas discovers that a supervisor, Sarah Thompson, had planted a high-tech microcircuit sticker on his phone to manipulate neural pathways, orchestrated by a radical collective seeking to manufacture gender-based conflict. The Dream Connection was a high-tech setup. Ultimately, the conspirators are arrested, and Lucas is exonerated from a nightmare where his own dreams were used as weapons against him.